Foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Racha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Acts, the 22nd chapter. So at this point, there's an uproar in Jerusalem. The Roman centurions had to come and grab Paul, and as they are taking him into the castle, the fortress where the Roman barracks were, for his safety, he asked them to let him speak to the people. So this is what he says: Men, brethren, and fathers, hear ye my defense, which I make now unto you. And when they heard that he spake in the Hebrew tongue to them, they kept the more silence. And he saith, I am verily a man, which am a Jew, born in Tarsus, a city in Cilicia, yet brought up in this city at the feet of Gamaliel. So he's saying, I was born in Tarsus, Cilicia, which is, here we go, right? There you go, Tarsus right there, northwest of Syria. And he's saying, look, I was born a Jew, just like, the rest of you, most of you all. And I was brought up here. I was brought here, and I learned all the things that I learned from Gamaliel. And Gamaliel was one of the elders, the doctors in the law, as part of the Sanhedrin, and taught according to the perfect manner of the law of the fathers, and was zealous toward God, as ye all are this day. And I persecuted this way unto the death. So he's saying, I persecuted the church, the believers of this truth, of this way, unto death, binding and delivering into prisons both men and women. Also, as also the high priest doth bear me witness. So even the high priest can bear witness, and all the estates of the elders, from whom also I received letters unto the brethren, and went to Damascus to bring them which were there bound unto Jerusalem for to be punished. That was what he was on his way to do at Damascus, right? He got letters, permission to go there and catch the believers there and bring them back to Jerusalem to be punished. And it came to pass that as I made my journey and was come nigh unto Damascus about noon, suddenly there shone from heaven a great light round about me. And this is when Yahushai made him appear to Paul. And I fell onto the ground and heard a voice saying unto me, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? And I answered, Who art thou, Lord? And he said unto me, I am Yahushai of Nazareth, whom thou persecutest. And they that were with me saw indeed the light, and were afraid, but they heard not the voice of him that spake to me. So only Paul could actually hear Yahushai's voice speaking to him. And I said, What shall I do, Lord? And the Lord said unto me, Arise, and go into Damascus, and there it shall be told thee of all things which are appointed for thee to do. So you go ahead and go to Damascus, and the things that you have to do, you'll find out once you're over there. And when I could not see for the glory of that light, being led by the hand of them that were with me, I came into Damascus. So after Paul had this encounter, he was blinded. So he had to be led by those that were with him. And he goes over there into Damascus, and one Ananias, a devout man according to the law, so he was a believer, having a good report of all the Jews which dwelt there, came unto me and stood and said unto me, Brother Saul, receive thy sight. And the same hour I looked up upon him. So at that point, Saul's sight was regained. And he said, The God of our fathers hath chosen thee, that thou shouldest know his will, and see that just one, and shouldest hear the voice of his mouth, right? Which was Yahushai, as Yahushai had revealed himself to Paul, right? And heard him speak unto him. For thou shalt be his witness unto all men of what thou hast seen and heard. And that was Paul's lot, right? He literally had to go and bear witness of Yahweh Shai throughout, that's hence his missionary journeys. And now why tarriest thou? Arise and be baptized, and wash away thy sins, calling on the name of the Lord. And it came to pass that when I was come again to Jerusalem, even while I prayed in the temple, I was in a trance. So this was Paul was on his way, right, to Damascus. He lost his sight. He got his sight back. He when he was baptized, he was first converted. He mentioned, right, he went to Arabia. He came back. He taught a bit over there, and then he came to Jerusalem. But he didn't stay long in Jerusalem, and he was sent to Tarsus. He was sent back home because the Jews were trying to kill him. So here, as he says, while he was in Jerusalem for that period of time, he saw this trance or this vision, and saw him saying unto me, that is Yahushai, make haste and get thee quickly out of Jerusalem, for they will not receive thy testimony concerning me. And I said, Lord, they know that I imprisoned and beat in every synagogue them that believed on thee. And when the blood of the martyr Stephen was shed, I also was standing by, and consenting unto his death, and kept the raiment of them that slew him. So he's saying, I consented to Stephen's death. In fact, I kept safe and held on to the clothing of those that went to stone him. And he said unto me, depart, for I will send thee far hence unto the Gentiles. And they gave him audience unto this word, and then lifted up their voices. So they were listening until he mentioned this part right here, where he said that Yahushua showed him in a vision that he should go, he will be sent on to the Gentiles. And when they heard that, they said, oh, yep, we knew it. You see what we talk? Kill this guy right now. And so then the crowd started back up again and said, away with such a fellow from the earth. Didn't we say this guy had demons on him? You see? He just confessed it out of his own mouth. Man, let go, man. Let me grab his ass up, man. For it is not fit that he should live. And here it is. They wanted to kill him. Yahushua said it, right? They wanted to kill him. And here it is. He was teaching the truth. He was preaching the actual truth, but they wanted to kill him for it. And as they cried, so really when you read even the parables, right? Like the parable the Lord gave about the husbandman, right? The owner of the vineyard, he sent the servants to the those that were given in charge to basically take care of the vineyard, and they kept killing the servants and wounding them. And then when the owner sent the son, they even slew him. Well, now you see an example of that they wanted to slay Paul. It says here, and they cried out and cast off their clothes and threw dust into the air. The chief captain, and as they did that, the chief captain commanded him to be brought into the castle, and bade that he should be examined by scourging. So he was to be interrogated through scourging, to whip him so he would confess, right? That he might know wherefore they cried so against him. So basically, he wanted to know what crime had Paul committed to get these people in such an uproar. Now, keep in mind that Paul was speaking to them in Hebrew. The centurion here likely would not have understood Hebrew. So he's wondering, what did you say to them? What's going on here? Why are you, why do they want to kill you so bad? What have you done? And as they bound him with thongs, which is like, what's the word I'm looking for here? It's today we have handcuffs. Back then they had that. Yeah, a thong of leather, a strap. There you go. It says in the New Testament of the thongs with which captives or criminals were either bound or beaten. So they bound up Paul, as he was told he was even forewarned about this by Agabus. And Paul, so when they bound him up, Paul said unto the centurion that stood by, and the centurion is a leader or captain over 100. Is it lawful for you to scourge a man that is a Roman and uncondemned? So, as a Roman citizen, is it lawful for you to scourge me without me even having had a trial or being condemned of any crime? And when the centurion heard that, he went and told the chief captain, saying, take heed what thou doest, for this man is a Roman. Because as a Roman citizen, you had privileges, and this being one of them. So yeah, they were like, yo, hey, watch out, man. Then the chief captain came and said unto him, tell me, art thou a Roman? He said, yea, or yeah. And the chief captain answered, with a great sum obtained I this freedom. So the chief captain bought his citizenship with a lot of money. And Paul said, but I was freeborn. So he said, I was born a citizen. All right. Likely, inherited it maybe from his, his father or his parents or whatever the case is there. But he didn't have to pay for it. At least Paul didn't have to pay for it. He was born a citizen. Obviously, Paul was an Israelite. A citizenship here was not a nationality. He was a citizen of Rome, but he was not an Edomite. He was an Israelite. Then straightway they departed from him, which should have examined him. So the second they heard that, they backed up quick. And the chief captain also was afraid after he knew that he was a Roman, and because he had bound him, because he was afraid that he could get in trouble. It's like today, if a cop was to break the law in doing something against you, something unlawful, they can get in trouble for that. Even though they have authority as police, they can still get in trouble for breaking the law. So back then, they were like, "Oh shit, he's a Roman citizen. Let's be very careful here." On the morrow, because he would have known the certainty whereof he was accused of the Jews, he loosed him from his bands, and commanded the chief priests and all their council to appear, and brought Paul down and set him before them. So the next day, wanting to know what was the reason for why they were accusing him, the Jews were accusing Paul. The chief captain basically untied Paul and had him stand trial right before the Jews to find out what case is it that they're trying to bring up against him. And that brings us to the end of the book of Acts, the 22nd chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rechak Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.